Alright boys, welcome to my first video on the channel here, Daily Broncos. Today we're going to be talking about how Denver got to this point, how they won 3 straight games. Most people expected them to be under 500. Coming into week 5 against the Las Vegas Raiders, Vegas actually had them finishing with the 4th worst record in football and selecting Travis Hunter out of Colorado. So you can tell not many people were high on Denver, yet alone coming into the year. But they've mustered together 3 straight wins. They have the number 2 defense in football right now, despite only having 1 first-round pick on their defense in Patrick Surtain, and the offense has gotten noticeably better. I'm looking at the Tampa Bay game, putting together 26 points, and then scoring 10 points in rainy conditions against the Jets defense, just doing enough, of course, in that second half to get it done. And then 34 at home against the Raiders was this team's breakout game. I mean, the Raiders had just absolutely no chance. They went up 10-0, absolutely. But after that, Denver had a pick 6 by Patrick Surtain. Bo Nix put together 3 touchdowns. And it's just wild to me because nobody's talking about Denver right now. Sure, they're saying they've won 3 straight. They're acknowledging them. But we need to start talking about Denver having what it takes to make some serious noise in this AFC conference that looks wide open right now. But before we even get into the rest of the video, guys, do me a huge favor and smash the like button and subscribe. This is my first video on the channel. I'm going to be posting a video every single day, 7 days a week at least, on the Denver Broncos. I'm super excited. Let's get into it. So starting off with where the defense ranks through 5 weeks, we've got to talk about how many points per game they're allowing. 14.6. I mean, that is just insane. Teams are averaging under 15 a game against this Denver defense. They're also 3rd in total yards with 271.2, 5th in passing yards 159.8, 10th in rushing yards 111.4, 3rd in sacks with 19, and 7th in interceptions with 5. You have to give credit to Vance Joseph because his scheme has elevated everyone else around him. I do believe that Denver has a very talented young team, but Vance has gotten these guys playing to their full capability, and it's just been absolute music to my ears. Nick Benito has had a fantastic year. Zach Allen has had a fantastic year. Riley Moss, who is going to be on the thumbnail, has had a fantastic year. His first season starting in his 2nd season. He came up with his first interception off of Gardner Minshew. He's just gotten better every single week, and he's been great in coverage all year. PJ Locke has had a good year. A lot of these guys are unknown to the majority of football fans, but hey, here we are talking about Denver with the 2nd best defense in football. I mean, it's just beautiful, guys. Here's what Joseph had to say about it during his media availability last week. So, quote, "Self-made players who make the defense work. We have a defense full of just young guys who are mostly self-made." Joseph said last Thursday, "We have 1 first-round pick, and that's Patrick Surtain, who is a really good player. Everyone else are pretty self-made guys that are just grinders. That's helped their process of working hard, being smart, studying, and just doing it right, playing together and being team-first guys," end quote. So looking at Denver, here's where they rank defensively, guys. I mean, take a look at this. So in terms of points per game, which we said 14.6, that's 2nd. Opponents' yards per game, that's 3rd. Opponents' points in play is 3rd. In terms of yards per play, 4x4 is 2nd. Opponent 3rd down conversion, 32.35% is 9th. 4th down conversion, number 1, which means that nobody's converted a 4th down on the Broncos, which through 5 weeks just doesn't make any sense. That's actually incredible. Red zone scoring, 33.33%, that's 3rd. And then touchdowns per game, 1.4 is 2nd. So Denver is top 10 in every statistic that we're measuring. And they're 9th in terms of 3rd down. Everything else, they're top 3. So just think about that for a second. They had an unknown defense coming into the year, to my knowledge at least, right? I know there are some people who say that, oh, well, we thought Denver's defense was going to be really good coming into the year. Maybe you did, but I personally didn't. I didn't expect this team to be where it is right now. Over 500, elite defense. I like Bo Nix, but I mean, he looks like he's going to be a legit star in this league. I thought he would have some struggles in his first season as a starter, but no, he has gotten better and he looks legit. Bo Nix looks like he's going to lead the Broncos to the promised land. And then in terms of the offense, that's something we do need to talk about because there's 2 sides of football. There's really 3 if we count special teams, but in terms of the offense, points per game, 22nd, 19.2. Yards, 270.6, 28th. Points in play, 22nd. Yards in play, 4.528. Third down conversion, 31st. Fourth down conversion, 6, actually, 71.43, which is great. Red zone, 43.75, 26. And then touchdowns per game, 1.6 is 28th. So the offense, again, that game against the Jets certainly is going to hit the Broncos in a large way. But it's all about improving. Look at where Denver was in the first game of the year, and look at where they are now. Bo Nix is slinging it. Javonte Williams is getting it going. We've seen Cortland Sutton have a ton of big catches this year. The tight ends even. Just everyone is starting to sort of get their touch on that side of the ball. And against the Chargers, who have one of the best defenses in football. We talked about the Broncos and how good they are on defense. Well, the Chargers, guys, are first in terms of points allowed, fifth in yards. We're talking about third down, they're 20th. Fourth down, they're third. Opponent red zone scoring, they're second. And then touchdowns, they're allowing 1.3, which is first. So it's a little bit ahead of the Broncos. This is the biggest test of the year for Denver. The Jets game was a massive test in rainy, wet conditions against an elite defense. But this one against the Chargers, who were coming off of a bye, you won 3 straight. Certainly, one of those wildcard spots could come down to Denver or Los Angeles. You want that tiebreaker. You want to win in the division no matter what at home. But this is a huge test because you're going up against arguably the best defense in football. Right up there with Denver, right up there with Minnesota. We got a good one. And Bo Nix, if he can go out there and have a couple of touchdowns and continue to be efficient and not turn the football over, my thoughts on the Broncos, which is already very high, is going to be just absolutely through the roof. I mean, we're talking about Denver being over 500 right now. We could legitimately be talking about them making the playoffs, winning a game, and building one of the best young football teams in football. I mean, of course, it's so early in the year. They've only played 5 football games, so we don't want to overreact too much. But in terms of this game, it's a huge test for Denver, and I'm so fired up about it. Some other things to note, Patrick Surtain, he ended up winning Defensive Player of the Week. He definitely is the front runner right now for Defensive Player of the Year in Week 5. 2 catches allowed, 2 interceptions, and a forced incompletion. Looking at Brock Bowers, I mean, guys, he had 7 targets, 6 receptions for 84 yards when against non-Surtain defenders. But when Surtain was the closest defender in the vicinity, well, Bowers, guys, 2 targets, 2 interceptions. So think about that for a second. That's just the impact he makes. And not to mention what he's done against Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and Garrett Wilson. 8 receptions for 88 yards and no touchdowns combined. Surtain is the best corner in football, and it's not even close. Bo Nix, 19 of 27 for 206 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nix nearly had a 3rd touchdown pass that went right through the hands of Troy Franklin as well. And that rushing touchdown, too, was big time. Riley Moss just continues to be a stud, man. He's become one of my favorite players on this team. Dude's an absolute boss. Those 77 throwback uniforms are the best in football, man. The orange crush type of vibes. This team reminds me a lot of that 77 team as well, just with how physical they are. The offense and the defense of both sides of the football. And then Gardner Minshew, 12-17 for 137 yards. Aiden O'Connell, 10 of 20 for 94 yards with an interception. Denver's secondary was just absolutely flying all over the place, making it tough on them. Javonte Williams is definitely back. He was averaging 2.2 yards per carry through the first 3 weeks, and now he's starting to get it going. I mean, he rushed for 77 yards. He led the Broncos in carries, those yards, receptions, and receiving yards with 50. I mean, he's emerged as a key part of the offense. He looks to be back. And Fox Sports has us at number 9th in power rankings right now. Guys, it's your boy Daily Broncos. My first video. Smash the like button, subscribe. A little bit nervous putting this out there, but hey, man, let's get it.